welcome back to our first edition of the Show Me Hoops podcast. David Heeb, joined by my brother Toby Heeb, and Toby, it's been a little bit since we did one of these.
Yeah, we've been on hiatus.
We went on our own quarantine. Basically, what happened? We had the number one basketball podcast in the state of Missouri
and Australia. Don't forget Australia.
And that's right. But we went on a hiatus because I changed jobs. I came back home to Southeast Missouri, took a superintendent job down here, and I started coaching. I got back into coaching also. I was coaching the girls here at Delta. And so, we had talked. You were switching over to coaching the girls there at New Madrid.
Yep.
And you're going to be really good, and we had a chance to be really good. And, I just didn't want this taken away from our team or vice versa.
Yeah.
I didn't want, like when you're a neutral observer like I wasn't coaching anything. It's easy to call coaches up and talk basketball and whatever. But when you start coaching again, I didn't want anything that we said for any coaches to take that like we were taking a shot at them or anything like that, because that certainly would not be the case. But now we're all on a quarantine due to the Rona.
Rona's got us locked down right now.
Rona's got us in a full court press. We can't even get the ball in bounds right now. And so we've been texting back and forth, and at least 100 times we've said to each other in the last year, this is why we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
And so this is why it's got to come back.
We just haven't had the time to give the people full effort.
That's right.
With all the coaching we're doing and everything. So right now we got that time. That's
right. And so we're not on a shot clock or anything like that, but in general we try to keep these things about, 30 or 40 minutes. I mean, just because people at that point probably have either changed the station or something like that. So we'll dive right into our first topic, and this is something that you and I talked about, and we tried to get this done and beat them to the punch, but we were talking about something that you and I are both passionate about, Southeast Missouri basketball.
Yep.
And at the high school and the college level. And they had an opening. SEMO had a coaching opening. And true story, when the coaching opening come open years ago with Rick Ray, I did apply for the job. And I applied for the job knowing full well that I would not get it, that I would not even get an interview. But I did apply and send in a business plan and just told them, if you ever want SEMO to be good, this is how you have to do it. And I sent the whole thing into them, never got a phone call back, and that's fine. I did it to be funny. Just my good buddy Eric Thompson, he and I would always joke about this. And I said, Eric, you know what, I'm going to send them my idea. And even if they don't hire me, maybe they'll be smart enough to listen. And so
maybe just take something from it.
Just take one idea from me. Maybe I can help. And because we want SEMO to be good.
Yep.
And so anyway, the job come open again, and we were going to do a podcast about what kind of coach should SEMO try to hire if they're not going to hire me and you. Okay, if they're not going to hire Johnny's boys to come up there and run the show,
what's
the next best thing out there? And so, of course, we're being funny. People don't take us too serious. And so they hired Brad Korn. Brad Korn from Southern Illinois originally. He's now the assistant coach at Kansas State, and he's kind of got some ties to this area, the local heartland area, whatever. And so, Toby, what I did is my plan, let me back up and tell you what my plan was first to get SEMO on the map. And then I'm going to back up my thoughts by pointing at 3 programs about SEMO size in different parts of the country that have done what I'm already saying. And so my plan for SEMO to be good, SEMO's only been good one time since they were Division I. Right. And that's when I was in college there, so I remember it. Gary Garner was the coach at SEMO then. I knew Gary Garner. I knew all the members of his staff, Anthony Bean, Tom Schubert, Keno Davis. I knew their coaches. I was a college student, and I would go work their camps. When I got started in coaching, I was the freshman coach at Cape Notre Dame High School, and Gary Garner gave me great advice as a young coach. He said, David, get your team to reverse the ball 3 times. He goes, if you can just get a team to be patient enough to reverse the ball back and forth, 2 or 3 times, I think you're going to get a good shot. You can win a lot of games. Gene Best calls that get it to the third side of the floor. Same principle.
Yep.
Gary Garner, was a great guy. He recruited some of my players when I first started coaching, and he had a lot of success at SEMO by recruiting the junior colleges. He did a great job of recruiting Three Rivers, where he got guys like Corey Johnson and Amory Sanders.
Yeah.
He recruited Moberly, Mineral area, where he got guys like Antonio Short. He got Roderick Bunch, Branson, those guys that were all there when SEMO had a good run. And, of course, the point guard was a guy named Michael Stokes. SEMO made the NCAA tournament. They almost made the NCAA the year before. They got beat on a shot at the buzzer. And so he had a 2-year window there where they did make the tournament. They almost made the tournament. They got in the tournament and lost to LSU, who had Stromile Swift that went to the NBA, was a high draft pick, and they almost beat them. And so my point is I've seen SEMO be good one time in my adult life. And the one time they did it, they built it on junior college transfers. I think that is half of what you'd have to do to have consistent success at SEMO. And SEMO is very lucky. They're right here in Region 16, which is Three Rivers, Mineral area, Moberly, West Plains, State Fair Community College. Very good programs, very good coaches. You've got a good pipeline of players there. If you could just get, 1 or 2 of those guys every year. Yeah. And then right across the river, you've got John A. Logan, a whole lot of good, programs, in Illinois also. You could even maybe pull down from Iowa. You got Indian Hills and, Iowa Western, some of those junior colleges up there. But in this part of the country, where SEMO's located at, halfway between Memphis and St. Louis, Cape is a good college town. The Show Me Center is a good arena. I just think you can sell that to guys who, when you go to junior college, there's 2 reasons guys go junior college. One, they didn't make the grades to qualify.
Right.
So if they didn't make the grades to qualify, they're wanting to go Division I. So your 2 years at that junior college are up, and you didn't get the offer. Michigan didn't call, Louisville didn't call, whatever. So now you're picking from a lower tier of schools. SEMO could go in and pounce on some guys like that who still want to keep playing.
Yeah.
Number 2, they go to junior college because they're not quite a finished product yet. A guy like C.J. Hadley played for me years ago. C.J. was a red shirt at Three Rivers, did not dress and ran the camera his freshman year at college. Didn't play 1 second, and ends up as a Division I player a couple years later. Region 16 Defensive Player of the Year. He was not a finished product. So one way or another, you're getting guys who, they would like to keep playing basketball. They'd like to keep getting their school paid for, but they may not have all the offers they want. I think SEMO could come in and pounce on some guys like that. So that's half of my plan. Just get one player from
and those
Three
guys
Rivers
are ready to play too when they come in. And
that's right.
21-year-olds.
You're getting older guys. They're
2 years
older.
College basketball.
They've got a little bit, a better sense of who they are. They're older. And so, they're better players, bottom line, than a kid coming straight out of high school. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's half my plan. Just get one from Three Rivers, one from Mineral area. Do that every year. And then the other part of my plan is you have to recruit local. Now, everybody wants to say, we've got the local players, and we do have good local players here. And I can give you a laundry list of guys from Kewan Gant to Ashton Farmer to Dom Johnson to Derek Tippler to, Willie Hassel, just on and on and on and on that were college players, grew up in this area, went and played somewhere else.
Right.
Well, number one, you have to recruit your local players. A good friend of mine said years ago, being recruited by SEMO should be like a badge of honor for local kids. And he was right. And the point that he was making was, if you can recruit this area consistently, you will get that upper-end player that comes out of this area we see every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
The guy that ends up at maybe a quote-unquote better school may stay here if there's something here to play for. But on the other side of that, I think you have to recruit outside of this area a little bit, because I've got news for you. Every kid that grows up in Cape, Jackson, Sykes, and Charleston, when they're picking their college, they're like most kids in the rest of the country. They want to get away from home.
They don't want to stay home. That's right.
They don't want to stay home. And so it's a double-edged sword. You have to recruit local, because you need to get the local kids as much as you can. But on the other hand, you got to understand you're just recruiting against the basic nature of an 18-year-old. They want to get away from mom and dad. And so you have to look outside your area a little bit. And the easiest places to look would be look towards St. Louis, look towards Memphis, look towards Southern Illinois, look out towards
Jonesboro,
down towards Jonesboro. I mean, there's some talent-rich areas of the state. I mean, the Columbia area. There are so many good players in that Columbia, Jefferson City area.
And we're in the middle of a lot of top, right, left, bottom. There's places all around.
There are
with players.
You know that northeast Arkansas area, a lot of talent. There. Southern Illinois, there's a lot of talent. Of course, St. Louis and Memphis. I'd say per capita, Memphis probably has the most talent in the country. I mean, but the problem with recruiting out of those areas, as you're trying to get this program up off the ground, I think eventually those are all good things to do. But what's happened to SEMO in the past is where they have got a guy to come in and do well. It's like he's done so well at SEMO, I think I can go play somewhere better than this.
In the transfer portal.
And then they're in the portal. And that's the problem. So I'll point at 3 schools, and I would like to say that I did this on purpose and I was smart enough to think of this, but I'm probably not that smart. But here's the 3 that I picked, and there's an amazing coincidence involved here. So I'll just kind of go through. SEMO's enrollment is 11,978 students. So I tried to pick 3 schools that have had success in the NCAA tournament that are about SEMO size. The first one that I picked was Stephen F. Austin. Okay, Stephen F. Austin has been to the NCAA tournament in 2009, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018. So 5.
One of those 16, that was a run too, wasn't it?
They had a run where they won a couple games. That's right. They won a game.
Brad won a
So they had, they've been to the tournament 5 times. They've also been to the NIT in 2008 and 2013. So that was 2 years where they didn't make it, but they were good enough that they got invited. SEMO fans would take that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we didn't make the tournament, but you thought we were at least good enough to keep playing. Yeah. And so, they've had 7 really good years, in the last 10 years, 12 years, something like that. That's more than SEMO's had. Okay, here is Stephen F. Austin. If you look at their roster, what I did in all 3 of these programs, I went back and I looked at that first team that they had that broke through. So the 2008-2009 team from Stephen F. Austin, 3 of the 5 kids that started for them that year were, I call it Texas close. They weren't as close as the next 2 schools I'm going to talk about, but you got to think about how big a state Texas is.
Yeah, Texas is humongous.
It's a big state. So these kids are from within 150, 200 miles of Stephen F. Austin's campus. They were, quote-unquote local kids in a way. The other 2 kids, one was from Oklahoma. They actually had 2 kids on their roster from Lawson, Oklahoma. So somebody had a connection there.
Yeah.
One of the 2 starters was from Lawson. The other one was from New York City.
Okay.
Stephen F. Austin's base recruiting, look up and down their roster. It was within about a 200-mile radius of campus, or it was from Houston, or like I said, they had the 2 from Lawson, Oklahoma. So they kind of had a base of operation. They had some local kids. If they went outside that local area, they were going to Oklahoma, a certain area of Oklahoma where obviously a coach on their staff knew somebody there.
Right.
They had a connection.
And Oklahoma and Texas are, they're bordering, so that's pretty close for them too. That's like us going to Memphis.
Yeah, so their area was local, Houston, and they had a pipeline somewhere in Oklahoma. They had a connection with somebody. So you can kind of look at their background and see this is how they built that first roster that went to the NCAA. They had success, and then from there, like I said, they went 5 times.